Now, one American spending election week down under is Martin Lowery, here for the Business Council of Co-ops and Mutuals Leaders Summit. 40% of the electricity poles and wires in the US are owned by the people through co-ops, with 42 million consumers in 47 states. Martin Lowery is the Vice President of the peak body, and he joins me now from Canberra. Martin, welcome there.
Thank you very much, Dickie. It's great to be on your program.
Now, first, your co-op poles and wires run right across America.
They do.
Which president are these folk going to wake up to tomorrow, do you think?
I am not going to be the pundit that predicts that. You have many that could do it, but right now, certainly Hillary is ahead on points overall, and it's likely to stay that way.
Why is there so much of a rump, though, supporting Donald Trump, do you think?
This would be a bit of speculation, and I think we'll have some interesting post-election analysis on this, but since our poles and wires cover 75% of the geography of the country, we are rural America in many ways. And so I've seen quite a bit of discussion around the Trump phenomenon as it relates to, in my opinion, the rural economy and the difficulty that we have. It's not bounced back very well at all, and you could argue that the United States has really become a bicoastal economy, and then you add in Chicago and Dallas and Fort Worth and Atlanta. But for the most part, rural America is losing jobs, main streets are closed up, and it's quite problematic for many people whose income levels in real income are back down into the 1980s.
So this explains the attraction of the protectionist argument, does it? The anti-free trade argument?
The free trade argument is certainly a big issue, but in fact, I would say that we have many of the larger agricultural cooperatives in the United States that are very open to trade.
What about the view of Wall Street? And I look at, say, the difference between the cooperative model and indeed the model of shares.
Yes.
How does that, I'm just thinking about the backlash against Wall Street and profits and our recent, the backlash against, on a lot of boards on executive pay, which is very different from the co-op model, isn't it?
Very interesting that you bring that up. Absolutely. And I'm also on the board of the International Cooperative Alliance as the U.S. representative. So this has really become a global discussion. The 1%, the concentration of wealth at the top, and the capital markets. The cooperative market, of course, equity comes from the users of the system, whether it's the agricultural producers or consumers of electricity or telecommunications. It's a very different model. It's a model that can, I believe, quite peacefully coexist with the capitalist free market model of profitability and shareholders. But in fact, the cooperative has one purpose in mind, which is the value to the member owner of that cooperative, whether it's a producer or a consumer.
The challenge, of course, has always been for the cooperative, if they want to grow and expand, and they can't access the capital. And then you've got all these different hybrids which seem to have problems of their own. I mean, I'm looking at our own Murray Goulburn that promised this milk pool and this sort of guaranteed price to farmers, and that all went a bit pear-shaped.
It's interesting. We had this discussion in the U.S. over the past 10 years about the hybrid model, particularly as it related to areas like biomass and bioenergy. We ultimately concluded that a 49% interest of an outside shareholder in a cooperative would result in a loss of focus on the member of the cooperative itself.
So how do you grow the cooperative if you don't have that sort of investment?
You need to get that capital infusion from the members, and I agree that that can be an issue if growth is fundamentally driving your business. But when you look at a consumer cooperative like the people that we serve with electricity, we have developed our own financial institutions. So we use the capital markets in terms of bond issues, for example. We have the Cooperative Finance Corporation. We have the Farm Credit System, Farm Credit Council, and we have the National Cooperative Bank as well, all of which are willing to provide capital. But it's primarily on a lending basis as opposed to an equity share basis.
And briefly, do you think if either Donald Trump or Hillary Clinton, one or the other, obviously going to get in, do you think there'll be a lot of pressure on the big end of town, the top end of town?
I think either would probably see a relaxing of the concerns around large capital investment, and we need to find some solutions in the middle. And I see the cooperative model as providing that, and both candidates have been very open to that. We have operated on a nonpartisan basis throughout the primaries and throughout the presidential election, and see the cooperative contribution to the U.S. economy as being a very important growth area.
Martin Lowery, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Tiki.